Good afternoon. I hope everyone's having a nice weekend so far and enjoying this variety of marathon games that we've all had to learn within a week's time. I've been tasked with learning the Cheetaman too. I was expecting this to be 100 times worse when I initially saw the game, and part of it still scares me a bit. But other than that, um, basically the small cutscene gives you pretty much the story in general. Dr. Morbius creates a new subhuman called the Ape Man in order to stop the Cheetah Man, his so-called failed creations, and we're tasked with stopping Dr. Morbius. Each Cheetah Man for 2 levels, and I guess with that, since there's really no major way of starting, the time will start in 3, 2, 1, go. And unfortunately, the controls are kind of reversed for me. So A is to fire or to use your weapon, and B is to jump. Your first level starts off tame to an extent, but you can't. There's no health. There's no health gain to restore. And unfortunately, Apollo, who has the longest range ability, cannot fire at any particular enemies that's on the ground. And you'll also have to keep an eye on having. You'll want at least 2 points of health, because for these 2 particular jumps, there's a insect that you can't avoid. Now, does this set of blocks look like anything major to anyone? No? Okay. If the birds you see are at eye level with your arrow, you'll have to either try to avoid it as best as possible, or hopefully jump out of the way to just in enough time to fire an arrow. Here's the second ledge where you can't avoid taking a hit from the insect and the major ninja-like enemy. Once you bypass these small amount of totem poles and clear this particular canine, that goes to level 2. Now you'll see some of the same amount of enemies that you saw in level 1, but unfortunately some of them will stick around until you clear certain sections of the screen. Now I wanted to know who invited the Tasmanian Devil as an enemy here. The skull pattern you'll see at least 3 times before I actually reach the end of a level. So as you can see, I want to wait until both enemies are in a certain spot before I attempt to jump. Oh, and one thing to note about these blocks, if you actually jump, if you're too high up and you fall, you actually lose a life. At least for some reason in Apollo's case. This might be a death. Yep. I had a feeling that was going to happen just because of the awkward placement of some of the enemies. Excuse me. Because for some reason, if you delay when, for some reason game-wise, if you delay when you actually move, you'll see enemies in a particular spot they shouldn't be in normally. Which means you'll probably end up losing health much faster. Fortunately, once you get to these particular ledges where the Tasmanian Devil is, if you jump forward just slightly, a bird will spawn. And just wait for the bird before attempting to move forward. Part of the worst enemies in the game, at least early on, might be the snake. Just because you can barely see it. Also, when you get to these ledges, you'll want to just get rid of the Tasmanian Devil before you even decide to move. Now, you're facing off against Dr. Morbius first. And of course he's equipped with his I-beams and the lasers. Oh no, wait, he's just running. So all you do is just calmly jump over, let Dr. Morbius run while you fire arrows. And then we go to level 3. Now we're introduced to Hercules. Now, unfortunately, Apollo didn't get this weird training. Hercules can actually hit enemies that are below because of his punch kick. But why even bother doing that when we can just airwalk? Some of the level terrain might be a bit odd to airwalk in, but as long as you have some kind of air, you'll just want to keep airwalking so you don't have to be on the ground at all. But just make sure that you don't go off of the screen, or that will result in a life loss. And all this is simply just a pianoing of the keys of A to B. Very, very simple to do. Just be mindful of how high your position is over the screen. And since we're already near the top, we can just despawn that particular insect. Other than that, we would just have the normal assortment of snakes, some insects, and kind of a bee. But we won't need to deal with the enemies at all. And now Hercules meets the Ape-Man. Now normally you could just let the Ape-Man will just casually go back and forth until it reaches the left, but you actually have to defeat it in combat. So we'll just let the Ape-Man screen scroll to the left and back to our right, and just see monkey do and repeat his pattern. As long as you're not actually touching the sprite, you should see the point counter go up if you actually hit the Ape-Man, and that takes care of him. Now we're playing as Ares in the last 2 levels of the game, Normally we wouldn't even be able to see this, but it took a patch in order for this game to actually be complete. Fortunately, Ares Club also, even though it has short range, just like Hercules Punch Kick, he also got the same training. So once again, we'll just airwalk our way through what looks like a dystopian future. Kind of reminds me of back to the 2015 stages of Back to the Future 2 and 3, but that's another troublesome game for another time that we won't discuss. Now the enemies here move some of the enemies move much faster than you would really want to deal with, so just airwalk your way through everything. Because the main enemies you really don't want to deal with are the birds. If you're lucky, if you actually do happen to fall down to mid-level, you might actually get lucky and hit one of the enemies and not lose health. But even if you do, you have to fight, even after all this, you have to fight the troublesome last boss of the game. Did I mention how troublesome the last boss was? So, Cygor, who learned all of his tactics from Dr. Morbius, with all of his lasers, nope, he's just running at us again. So, if you stand about right here, stand right here, club Cygor as he runs to you. You'll see the points go up. Once you see the points go up, you know you've actually hit Cygor. It takes about 8 to 10 hits, and time will instantly come up once Cygor is beaten because it will just go to a game over. Should be about 1 or 2 more hits. Nope, I miscalculated. Time. Unfortunately, unlike Spider-Man 2 for the Game Boy Advance that I had to play for the last mystery event, there's no you won, there's no gripping end of story, nothing. It's just game over, start again, no wave 2, no nothing. I did say initially I was going to retire this game after the run. At least, now that I understand the airwalking much better than I did the first time, I at least want one more PB. But that'll be for later. Other than that, I hope everybody has enjoyed the Cheetahmen 2. It's not as bad as I initially thought it would be, but it's definitely learnable. Just gotta get past that troublesome level 2 first. Other than that, I hope everybody have a nice morning, noon, and evening wherever you are, and let's enjoy the rest of the Mystery Marathon games that everyone else has to play. Thanks for watching.